everyone. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show. Not just the Camper Report Show, John, but today is our 200th episode of the Camper Report Show.
An
Can you
amazing,
believe that we're almost 4 years into this show
an
already?
amazing, an amazing feat. And today I'm going to wrap up our discussion about the hurricanes with a actual survivor of the North Carolina hurricanes. And he's going to tell us exactly what it was like. And you know what? After that, we're going to move on to other topics. And I know that you've got a very interesting person yourself to talk to.
Yeah, I chased down Mark Werner, who's the Northeast Regional Sales Manager for um, Cedar Creek. And one of the new products is the Cottage. We're going to talk about that and talk about what's new in destination campers.
Right. And we get a lot of our information where, Bob? Where do we get our info?
And we could not do this show without Rick Kessler with RV Business and Ben Quiggle with Woodall's Campground Magazine. In fact, they feed us more information that we could ever put into the show every week. So we get the easy part of it. They do all the work. They post the stories. We just talk about the stories. Pretty
We're,
good
we're,
deal,
we're just the pretty faces.
huh?
We're just the pretty faces.
Yeah, we're right. We're the I don't know if they're pretty faces. We're two faces, but we're two experienced
Exactly.
RV professionals
And
in this
we'll be back with our 200th show right after this. Attention all RVers. Say goodbye to roof worries and hello to worry-free travel with RV Roof Magic. This revolutionary liquid butyl roof coating is specially formulated to protect your RV from the elements, to extend its lifespan and prevent leaks. With simple application and outstanding results, RV Roof Magic is the go-to choice for RV owners seeking superior roof protection. Don't let roof maintenance issues hold you back. RV Roof Magic is the only liquid butyl rubber in the world that offers a one-coat, no primer coverage and a 10-year warranty. Visit rvroofmagic.com/RVLife and extend your roof another 18 to 20 years. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Camp Report Show. This is the news segment. My name is John DePietro. I'm joined for the 200th time by Bob Zagami. And Bob, normally here in the news section, we talk about, breaking news with the industry. So-and-so was named vice president. But we've been doing that for, 200 shows. We've kind of had on every heavyweight hitter in the RV industry, haven't we?
we have, and we started with two big heavyweights because Patrick Buchanan and Andy Rabinowitz. Andy is the founder of Social Knowledge Network. They came to us after seeing RVing in New England. They enjoyed it. They came on it. They've been on the show, and they said, "How about you guys doing something like that for the RV Life Network?" And they're sitting out there with about 1.2, 1.3 million members. And we said we didn't want to do what we do with RVing in New England. And they said, well, it's your show, so you guys figure it out.
So
So tell them how we figured it out, John.
Well, we figured it out. I'll tell you, the main cog in helping us figure it out and get to this is our designer, Christopher. And without Christopher, Bob, I mean, we looked at those first couple of shows that we put together on our own, and you kind of laugh at them now. And
I know we would not have made a full year if they hadn't gone out and got such a professional graphic designer, video. I mean, the stuff that he does with what we send him, we're always amazed because if you folks want a peek behind the scenes, what happens is John and I will do the interviews and collect a lot of the collateral material, and Christopher gives us a folder, and we throw everything into the folder.
we
Every
just
picture.
and it's literally we throw it into the folder.
Right. We don't tell him what it is, so he goes through the two interviews, looks at the collateral, and that show that you see now is nothing like the first one that we did 200 episodes ago. And it was continuous improvement, but we didn't really hit our stride until we had Christopher Colley in the background on the post processing. He does other things for RV Life, and those gifted people like that, and this guy is gifted, like to stay behind the scenes, and they do what they do best, And we try to do what we do best, but sometimes we make it and sometimes we don't make it, but we have a lot of fun. And I certainly
Home run
hope that
every time,
our
Christopher. Without
fans have had a lot of fun because they've stuck around for almost 4 years. And I'm continually amazed that when we've done these shows and our being in New England, I think we have to recalculate it, but I think we're in our ninth year for that show. We're coming up on our fourth year for this show. Every week, we do 2 shows every week. Don't ever run out of material. Don't ever question what comes out of the laboratory when Christopher is done. He sends it to us, and we say, "Man, that's a great show."
no.
And he made up. And the thing is, he made all of that from what we throw into the bucket.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the interesting part about the industry is that it's changing all the time. There's really nothing you can say. And we've never said, well, it's the same old, same old. We don't really have a topic today, so let's just talk about something else. There's always something. And, we've had the heavyweights. You've had Bob Martin on. Bob Martin, talk about him, the chairman of the board of Thor Industries.
Yeah, President, CEO of Thor Industries, the world's largest RV manufacturer. They're good presence in Europe with Heimer Group and obviously what they have in the United States. And Bob is always willing to come on. Of course, as a public company, there are certain times of the year you can get him and certain times of the year that he can't talk about what's going on it, but they've been very
Time
gracious.
out. Time out. But when he sees Zagami at a public event, he always comes over, graciously comes over to us and says hello.
Oh,
And, you
but no
know,
question.
we had him on that week. First time we had him on was that week between Christmas and New Year's, where
Right.
he was down in Florida, and he very easily could have said, you know what, Bob, why don't you get a hold of my staff right in January when things are back to normal? But
Yep.
but he, shot that video right from his family home in Naples, Florida.
Yep.
We've seen him again in Florida. We've had him on a few times down there. But Bob Martin, we've had Bob Tiffin on
But
from
Bob Tiffin's amazing
Motorhomes.
at 82 years old. He is always in one of the units, and in the last couple of years, he's been in the 82nd anniversary of the Phaeton, of the Allegro rather.
Like
And
robots, yeah.
and he stands in there and meets and greets people. He signs their cabinet doors and tells them what's happening at the plant. And
An
it's
icon, an
it's
icon.
always it's always you're right. It's always great to see Bob and renew the acquaintances.
I know one show that we did with Mike Happy out in Winnebago. Mike's the I keep changing titles, but Mike's the number one guy at Winnebago Industries.
CEO. Yeah, yeah.
And, he's been on with us on several occasions. Look at you. If you take the top three, Thor, Forest River, Winnebago,
Yep, with Doug
get
Getter.
our
Doug
get
Getter
our
at Forest River. He is
recently.
always willing to come on.
Yep.
It's I think it's one of the things that keeps us young in the industry is that these people are very approachable. There's no pretentiousness. There's no egos. They compete aggressively on the street, and then they'll go down to the El Cuna Golf Club and have a couple of drinks and talk about their wives and kids and soccer on Saturday, and that's for the most part everybody in the industry, which makes our job really easy. You can't do that in a lot of industries, and you certainly wouldn't get a CEO from my former career in the imaging industry for 40 years. I don't care how good I did my job. I couldn't call them up on vacation and say, "Hey, why don't you take a little time out to do an interview, talk to our fans?" Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Don Clark from where Don Clark? Where did we follow Don Clark from Keystone to
Yep.
Grand Design to Winnebago?
Yep, and we were
Brand
there for the very first meeting when Grand Design introduced their concept. All they had was a drawing and their concept. And now they're one of the largest fifth wheel manufacturers and trailer manufacturers, and they just introduced a motorhome,
Yep.
a full-fledged company. And it's not like Don needs something else to do, but he was just appointed to take over the Winnebago towable line in addition to Grand Design, but they'll keep them as two separate companies. They'll be competitors in the street, but it's an interesting concept, and Don's a good man, and I know he can do it.
Yep. And of course, two names that we could not do the show without: Rick Kessler from RV Business and Ben Quiggle from Woodall's Campground Magazine. we really lean on them because we get our news from them every week. But for example, last week during the tornadoes, the hurricanes and tornadoes, ironically, we were able to speak with Ben directly. Ben was out in Colorado, so it was 7 in the morning out there, and we were 9 o'clock here in New England, but he was very willing to do it, and we've pinched hit for them a few times, and Kessler always has fun when he comes on with us.
Well,
And
the other thing too that we've done consistently, really in both of our shows, but we try to make it topical. So we're not afraid to pick up the news, the RV Business Newsletter, and see that something happened on Monday morning, and we'll have that guest on Wednesday night, or that very night, we'll get an interview with them. So we're able to stay fresh, stay current with what they are. And then we do a lot of traditional stuff. We talk about our dealers, we talk about campgrounds, we have suppliers on. So it's a good mix. I don't think anybody could accuse us of getting stale in the 4 years.
by any means. When you look at some of the suppliers, we've had the Truma people on, several people from Truma.
Yep.
We've had
Foley,
the
Foley and Ryan Brady right from the start of the Lions RV.
Lippert, Jason Lippert, you've had on.
Yep.
And every big name in the industry. I can't think of one big name. We had the Bontraegers from Jayco back when Jayco was an independent company prior to being part of Thor. Everybody imaginable.
Yeah,
And
one, not not to criticize ourselves, but the one relationship that we got to build on this year is Rev Group. They're doing some really nice things, and we just haven't hit the right people. We have to do a little bit more homework on that. They're coming out with some nice products, and there's a long heritage and history there because they've got the Fleetwood product line, which is one of the oldest manufacturers in our industry. The Bounder is 35 years old, so we get new products, we get anniversary type products. There's there's nothing that we won't cover. So if you fans think we've missed something or you've got something, say, hey, you really ought to do a show on that.
let us know
Reply
right down below. Say, hey, I would like
down
to hear.
below and tell us what you want to see. And we don't do everything right. And when we screw it up, we let you know. But if you get some good comments on what you think we should look for in
Let us know.
2025, then let us know down below because we do this show for you and we sincerely appreciate you being there every week for the Camper Report show. And like I said, we couldn't do it without Rick and Ben, and we sure as hell couldn't do it without Patrick and Andy.
And Christopher too. So with that being said, let's move on to this show. It's a great show. Thank you, everyone. We do not take your viewership for granted.
Nope,
Every
not
week,
at all.
there's so many. Bob, just think how many shows are there about RVing? They are a dime a dozen, and
Yep.
people come up. They do 5 episodes or they do a year, and they're gone. And we appreciate your courtesy, and we appreciate the fact that you spend time watching the Camper Report show. Let's get on with the show. Hey there, RVers. We get it. Your insurance and warranty needs are as unique as your travel destinations. That's why RVer Insurance has teamed up with Wholesale Warranties to cover all the bases. From health insurance to RV coverage and warranties, we've got you sorted every step of the way. With a solid track record in providing top-notch health insurance and affordable RV insurance options, RV Insurance has you covered. And for those unexpected repair bills, look no further than our friends at Wholesale Warranties, leaders in reliable coverage and customer support. Start your RV protection journey today at rverinsurance.com or wholesalewarranties.com/RVerinsurance. Hey, everybody, welcome back. And these last 2 weeks, weather-wise, have been turmoil, to say the least, regardless of where you live on the East Coast, whether you be from the great state of Maine down to Florida. And unexpectedly, the states that are getting a lot of attention around this time are Western North Carolina and South Carolina and Tennessee. And joining me today is a college friend from the foreign country of New Jersey who has moved back to the United States into Western North Carolina, actually into Boone, North Carolina. Help me say hello to Mike Parachuk. Mike, I know these last week or so has been traumatic to say the least. Can you kind of let us know, number one, you're all right. No damage to your house from what I understand, but you did lose power, and talk about your neighborhood.
Well, John, thank you first of all for having me. We're very, very grateful on my side of town. We had a few trees come down, a few limbs we had to clean up. We lost power for a day or two or three, but we're kind of back to normal. But other parts of our county are ravaged. Anybody that had a stream and a road and a house along that stream was in danger of losing their home. And in many places, the roads are washed out. They need to be totally rebuilt or repaired. And we're actually recovering quite well. I think we're 9 days or 10 days since the disaster struck. And right now, I think we still have about 4,000 homes without electricity in our county.
Yeah.
But the transportation is rough. The schools are closed and people are stepping up, helping each other. And we're so grateful for all the aid, support, and help we've received from all over the country and all the well wishes as well.
Now, you had mentioned earlier that you are in a resort area, and
Right.
there's lots of ski areas there. I'm sure there's lots of campgrounds. But unlike, many snowstorms that happened in the Northeast, 2, 3 days later, the snow is pushed aside and it's melted and it's gone and whatever. This is going to be what appears to be several years to get things back together, if they ever get back together at all. Tell us about the feeling that you had when you had people knocking on your doors in orange T-shirts right after the activity took place, but you said you also got phone calls and texts from your college friends that you haven't seen in years. How has that been? And the government is also, you said, working quite well with this relief effort.
Yeah. Well, let me first, I'm very grateful, John. We had a relatively small class graduate from Assumption. I think we were maybe 130 that graduated in our class.
Mhm.
I probably heard from 10 or 12 classmates, and we're 50 plus years since graduation. So that meant a lot.
Don't let anybody know that. I keep telling people
Yeah.
I'm just 5 years out of college.
Yeah. Well, your hair looks pretty good, John. But seriously, I worked in the same school for 31 years, and many of my friends and colleagues that I worked with in New Jersey also reached out. I can't tell you how overwhelmed my wife Carolyn and I were with the responses we got from friends, relatives, acquaintances. Are you okay? And it was just tremendous. The community here is very resilient. It's a very faith-bound community. Many churches, and they have stepped up. They've got churches that are offering 3 meals a day to people that need food. The Hospitality House, which is our homeless shelter, has been a central place for feeding and taking care of people. And no one who can access what's available should go hungry or thirsty or be in need. The university here opened up the home center, which is basically a gymnasium that holds 9,000 spectators for a basketball game, as a shelter. So people that need a cot, a warm place to sleep, it's available. FEMA's been on the ground here before the storm hit, and my friend who lives about 15 miles from here said FEMA's out writing those $750 checks of immediate aid to people that need them. So, the effort has been tremendous. There's a small airport about 2 miles from where I live. There are huge Army, National Guard helicopters landing. Supplies are being brought in. Trucks are brought in. I saw a truck today from someplace in New York to Boone, North Carolina.
You could tell because it had all graffiti on the side, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the relief effort and the support we have received has been tremendous. We have a lot of work to do. One of our 8 elementary schools is going to be closed because of damage from the flooding. About probably 300 homes in the town of Boone are probably going to be condemned because of the water damage is just so terrible. Flooding was a huge problem in our town because Boone is a bowl about 3,300 feet above sea level, and it's surrounded by mountains. So the water came rushing down, and the water went up, and eventually it came down. But by the time it came down, it left a lot of ravage behind. A lot of people were left homeless. They had to just clean everything out, and whether or not they're going to be able to occupy their homes again is a big question. But like I said, we're getting a lot of support, a lot of help, and neighbors are helping neighbors. Samaritan's Purse, Franklin Graham's ministry, is headquartered here in Boone. 2 days after the storm, about 50 volunteers in orange shirts came up into my subdivision. A couple knocked on my door and said, "Can we help you? Is there anything we can do?" And we happened to have a tree still down blocking part of the access to our subdivision. And the neighbors and myself had cleared half of it, but it was a 1-lane kind of road. So I said, "If you don't mind, you got a couple chainsaws, could you maybe open up the road for 2-lane traffic?" And within 20 minutes, they accomplished the task. And they went door to door, helping people. A lot of people had down limbs, trees, basically cleaning it up. If you drove into my subdivision, you'd see piles of brush and wood. There's no shortage of firewood right now.
Oh, sure.
But anyway, the state will eventually come and pick all that up from the side of the road. So again, we're extremely lucky in my neighborhood, but other parts of our county are suffering a great deal.
And you got to admit, though, I mean, people said this is going to hit Texas and, excuse me, not Texas. It's going to hit Florida. Then it's going to hit Atlanta. But, maybe the remnants would make it to, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. This is beyond anybody's wildest imaginations up there, though, right, Mike?
Well, yes. And John, I learned a new term on watching the Weather Channel. It's called uplifting.
Yep.
And when a storm of this magnitude hits mountains that are 3, 4, 5,000 feet, all of a sudden those mountains bring a lot more rain out of that storm. So in about 12 to 14 hours, there are places here that received over 20 inches of rain. And when it lands on the mountains, it's got to go down in the valleys and down in the rivers.
Yep.
And it's just a powerful, powerful force. Just to give you one little illustration, there was a video online that I saw. Appalachian State University is here in our town, and there were 15 student cars lined up side by side. A wall of about 2 feet of water came along, and it just knocked those cars into each other, and they would have fallen over like dominoes if they were tipsy like that. But it was just incredible to see how powerful that 2-foot wave of water was. And some people say that the water was moving at about 30 to 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
So that was an incredible force.
But you did gain faith in humanity when you see perfect strangers and neighbors who probably, the funny thing with neighbors today, you live in a neighborhood, but you probably only know the people on one or two sides of you. You don't know the people down the street. I know that's the way it is here with snowstorms, but your faith is restored in humanity.
Absolutely. And this for being a pretty big town and having a major university, there's lots of old timers here that their families have been here for 150 years, and they've lived on small farms. Some of them even have family cemeteries on the property, and they've been here for a long, long time. And it's really very interesting being from the Northeast like I was to get to know these people, because they're caring, they're friendly, they're just very, very welcoming, and it's a wonderful, wonderful community to live in. And with the university enhances it. I'll drop a name on you, John. Luke Combs, the country singer.
Yeah.
He was 2 weeks short of graduating from Appalachian University, and he signed a record deal. And the rest is history. I mean, so he grew up in this town. When he won his last Grammy Award, the guy who put him up and let him perform in his bar actually was invited out to present the Grammy and tell his story.
Wow.
So there's a concert coming up at the end of October
at Bank of America Stadium, right?
It's going to feature James Taylor,
Yep.
Luke Holmes, and Eric Church. Eric Church is also a graduate of App State.
Oh,
So,
too
and
big.
it's a benefit concert for hurricane relief for
Yep.
all the people in the mountains of North Carolina.
Yep. Yep. I saw that Luke Combs thing, and funny that you mentioned that. But you know what? We want to thank you so much for taking time from you today. I know that you're trying to get things back to normal. We're sitting here right now, and within a couple of days, there'll be something else allegedly happening in Florida. We hope that the people there make it okay. And want to thank you so much for taking time from your busy day to share your recollections of, you say Helena or Helena?
Helene, I believe. Yeah.
Helena. Okay, buddy.
Yeah. It'll be
Thanks so much.
remembered. The name won't fade away quickly, that's for sure.
Not at all.
So,
Okay, buddy. Thanks so much.
John, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate you.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Camper Report Show. And my guest this morning is Mark Werner, Northeast Regional Sales Manager for Cedar Creek. I don't know if you got any other brands that you take care of, Mark. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Nope, Cedar Creek is, I've been actually with Cedar Creek for 26 years. So since the inception of Cedar Creek. So yeah, it's the only products that I do handle in the Northeast. Been in the industry for about 35 years. But like I said, I've been with Cedar Creek since the beginning, which is our 26th year.
That's nice background. Nothing better than stability when you have a rep been around for quite a while. You know the good ones, the bad ones, and everything in between, but you sure as hell know your product very well too.
I hope so.
Yeah, we were intrigued. I didn't get out to open house this year, but the reports from RV Business and all the dealers that I've got that went out there, I was really intrigued with the Cedar Creek Cottage. That's really stepping out a little bit on the destination camping. Tell us about how it evolved and why you think it's going to be an important product for your dealers this year.
Well, I guess it's probably a brand new segment, without overstating it. I mean, we've been building our destination trailers for, almost 20, or for about 20 years or so. And there are limitations on destination trailers. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there is a requirement, or you cannot go over 400 square feet with a travel trailer, which is what a destination trailer is classified as. So to get beyond those limitations, we decided to do a fifth wheel. So there are no such limitations on a fifth wheel. There's no limitations on square footage. So our initial Cottage fifth wheel is right around the 435 square foot range, which is obviously a lot more than you can do with a destination trailer. So we're trying to create something that we can do some different things with, some different floor plans, create more of a tiny home kind of feeling with it, without having those limitations on square footage. So we've just been in the works for quite a while. Pulled the trigger on it this year, and the response has been tremendous. There is obviously a need for something where you have more room and spend more time in it. Some of these people are spending half the year in them, in some of the locations. So and we are building a coach that is able to be spending more time in it, more of a four-season type of product. So we just carried that through into our destination fifth wheel.
I think it's a great concept, and it is in fact putting out another whole segment of the marketplace. Do you think it will bring in new customers who want that type of product, or existing Cedar Creek customers that say, "Hey, I'm staying with the brand, but I really like this concept"?
I think, Bob, it's going to be a little bit of both. I mean, obviously, we're open to give our customers, some more options, be able to, look at some different floor plans and be able to do some different things. We're also looking at some new customers that maybe hadn't thought about it because of the limitations. We're going with a different look with it. Also, if you look and you have Googled maybe tiny homes and you hit images, you're going to see more of the look that we're going for. So we are kind of getting a little different direction from your standard RV owner, RV buyer. So yeah, we hope to do a little bit of both with this product, and we are going to be expanding the floor plans on it. So there'll be more options in the future.
Well, it's a unique combination because you have a lot of the features of a park model, but you got a hitch on it.
Correct.
And I think when I looked at it and studied the floor plan, I think you'll have customers who may now be in a park model that will come back down from the park model. You know, everything in our industry is getting more expensive. And this gives them another price point. It's not a fifth wheel per se, but it's a almost like a park model that you can drag around with you. Now, I would suspect that that type of customer is going to leave it on a lot for a year. It just gives them the option to go one place 1 year, another place a second year, which you can't do with the park model. Did that come into the thinking at all?
Yes, yes, it did. And you know, we are obviously designing it as a destination fifth wheel. But it does have full running gear on it. It has road armor suspension on it. It is a towable product as far as if you did want to move it from place to place. It's not going to be your weekend warrior type of customer for sure. But we do have it set up where it can be, you know, moved around probably a little bit easier than certainly a park model, and maybe even a little bit easier than some of the destination trailers.
Yeah, and the other thing is even if you don't have a big enough truck to tow this, because it's going to be a heavy vehicle, you can contract with a transportation service to move it from Cape Cod to the White Mountains of New Hampshire next year, and you don't have to buy a whole new truck to do it.
Correct, correct, and you are correct on that. Although it is actually not as heavy as you would think. It's in our wheel, you know, weight that we typically do. It's about 14, a little over 14,000 pounds.
That's not bad
Um,
for
yeah,
something that
it's
size. Yeah.
correct. But again, it's designed not to be towed around on a weekly basis. But yeah, certainly it's very easy to move from, like you say, the White Mountains to Cape Cod or anywhere else. You have some. We were hoping some taken from Florida up to New England, back and forth that way. There's a lot of customers down there. We
Yeah,
saw a lot of destination trailers down in Florida,
sure.
so we're certainly hoping that that's part of it too.
Yeah, get a couple of snowbirds that'll sit up in the lake in Maine and in the wintertime come down here to Florida.
Correct.
Bring the house with you.
Yep, absolutely.
You did something special and unique on the exterior. Talk about the graphics and what you did there, because it does, in fact, when I first saw it, I looked at it and the first thing that comes to your mind is tiny home. And I think that
Correct.
you got the image that you wanted to get to it, but it's different. What's different about that exterior?
Well, the process is different. I mean, we everything at Cedar Creek we build with a full gel coat exterior. Um, this gel coat exterior is a little bit different. It's the same type, but this gel coat a little bit thicker. And what you're looking at on those graphics, a lot of people think it's a wrap or if it's a paint job or something like that. It is a printed gel coat. It's a brand new process. Think of a large printer and the sheet going through instead of being paper
Sure.
is gel coat.
Yep.
It is a UV ink, and then it goes through there through the printer, and they put 2 layers of an automotive clear coat on top of that. So it's a very
Wow.
sustainable product. They have tested it in various testing facilities as far as fading. And you know they usually do about 2,000 hours in there with our normal gel coat to see, you know, that adds about, you know, a couple of years of natural sunlight. They're up to about 8,000 hours on this. So we're looking for a product that's going to be a lot more sustainable, being out in the open, not going to be going into storage facilities, those types of things. So it's a very sustainable exterior. The look, yet, like you mentioned, we are going for, you know, a tiny home type of look.
Yep.
We do have a second option, which is get you a picture of that also, which is more of a lighter, maybe more of a beach type of look. So there are two different looks, but in the same vein that as a tiny home, giving it a different look than your normal RV would have.
Now, is this 2 bedrooms and 2 full baths?
Yeah, this is there's plan. There is a front bedroom, which is a master suite. The rear of the coach has a loft above that has two beds up top, and then there is a loft on the way up to the bedroom on the left hand side. So it's multiple sleeping. You also have a sofa that will fold out into a full sleeper bed. So if you have extra people showing up, there are places for them to sleep.
You could get a lot of people in that.
You can get a lot of people in there. We had a lot of people. We were at the Hershey RV show, which is where we introduced this product, and we had quite a few people not sleeping in there, but we had quite a few people in and out of there. And again, the extra square footage really showed through by having all that room.
Well, it's a great place to have a sales meeting when you bring the unit to the dealer and
Yeah.
teach them all about it.
Absolutely.
Get out of the
Absolutely.
building, get out of the office, leave the
Yep.
phone behind, and
Yep.
get the total dedication.
Yeah, it definitely feels more like a home, and we actually incorporated a lot of those features into the interior of the product, because what we did do by doing this type of new destination trailer, maybe being a fifth wheel, we don't use a standard fifth wheel frame. So the fifth wheel frame is probably the most expensive part of a fifth wheel. And by making a straighter frame on it where it doesn't have any exterior storage or drop down, a Z frame as they call it, we saved a lot of money on that. So we put that money into the interior of the coach. So we have custom kitchen cabinetry in there. There's not a normal RV cabinetry. So when you're going through there and you're pulling and opening drawers, you see much more of a residential feel, residential look. So you make a good point to me as far as spending time in there. You feel like you're in a house as opposed to being in a typical trailer.
It was very noticeable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it had a nice house feeling, home feeling to it.
Yep.
And in today's market, with people being so socially mobile and wanting to be able to work other places, it works as a great office also.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we will be coming out with more floor plans, and we might incorporate some more of that type of layout in the future. Again, this is brand new, so we're just kind of getting started. So yeah, we'll be looking at those types of customers also.
So between Hershey, which of course was a consumer show, and the
Correct.
outside open house where you had a chance to visit with all your dealers, do you think you have a home run?
Well, we certainly think so. I think our dealers think so. Certainly the customers at Hershey RV show, the retail customers, thought so also. So again, time will tell. We're doing something a little bit different here, but we certainly feel like we have a home run. Yes.
I was talking to Ray Panzino the other day, who's one of our dealers in the New England RV Dealer Association, and he was very excited. He's already got one on the lot. So you're already delivering to dealers, and he was
Oh
very
yeah.
excited. He's got the first one to show. So
Yep. Yeah, we're just starting to produce the product and get it out there. Like I say, the Hershey show was the first time that retail customers were able to see it and touch it. But yes, now we are getting product out into our dealers' inventory.
well, that's so important in our industry. Oftentimes, manufacturers will show something, but it's a year away. The fact that
Yeah,
you showed it and they can sign up and you can deliver it and get it into the system, that's good for you. It's good for the consumers.
absolutely.
All right, our guest this morning is Mark Werner, Northeast Regional Sales Manager for Cedar Creek. Great new product, the Cedar Creek Cottage. So check your local Forest River dealer and see who's got it. And Mark, I want to thank you for joining us, and you're welcome back anytime.
I appreciate it, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.